Hey, you guys. Look like you were struggling yesterday on the worksheet, so we'll spend one more day on it, set up a video here to try to help you through it. It's not too tough here, so hopefully these examples will help you out. So the first thing I did is I just brought up a couple of calculators. So I went to Google, typed in calculator. The key here is when you bring up the calculator, it's going to be in radians. That little RAD, you gotta click degrees right here. So you got to remember it. So when you take the calculator that's in Google, that first one that comes up, you got to hit the degrees. And then I have a calc that I brought up from my computer. And if it's in radians, you got to hit it, put it in degrees first. All right. All right. Let me show you how to do the inverse sine. So this is my inverse key, and there's my sine key. So if I'm going to use the inverse sine, I'm going to hit inverse, and that -1, that means inverse sine right there. So I punch that, punch in my ratio. So that first problem is going to be 9/16, and then hit equals. Make sure you're in degrees. Hit equals, and it's going to be about 34 degrees, that angle. Now I brought up one on my computer, and it has a trig button. So on this one, you got to hit 9 divided by 16 first. Hit equals, and then I'm going to bring up my trig function, hit second, and there's my inverse sine right there. And again, it's going to give you 34 degrees. So there's a few different calculators. You got to hit the second function though, and you got to make sure it's in degrees. All right, let's look at your problems here, and we'll get going here. First thing you're going to do is write out SOHCAHTOA. So SOHCAHTOA is S for sine, O for opposite, H for hypotenuse. Write it down if you don't have it memorized yet. Sine, opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And then tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. Write them down. Okay? All right, the first thing I did going through here is I labeled everything. I labeled opposite, hypotenuse, just what you did up here. So here's my angle they want to find. They want to find how many degrees this angle is, and they gave me two sides. So what you're going to do is I'm going to go across from angle A, opposite angle A, there's my opposite. 9 is the opposite. Then across from my right angle, that's my hypotenuse. So go through quickly on all these triangles. Here's B, go opposite, there it is. And I need this, well, that's across from my right angle, that's my hypotenuse. Here's C, that's what I'm looking for, go across, opposite. Oh, I don't need the hypotenuse. Well, what's left? This is the adjacent. So between the degree, the angle, and the right angle is your adjacent side. So if I drop down to, here's D. Go across, no, I don't need opposite. Well, in between my angle and the 90, there's my adjacent. And across from 90 is my hypotenuse. There's my hypotenuse. Across from my angle I want, there's my opposite. Here's angle F, opposite, and then between F and 90, that's my adjacent. So I went through all these, okay, and labeled them. All right, so now once you get them labeled, now you got to figure out which one you're going to use. What do they give you? Well, they give me opposite, hypotenuse. Opposite, hypotenuse, that's sine. So I wrote sine of A is equal to my opposite, 9, over my hypotenuse, 16. So again, you got to grab your calculator. I showed you. Make sure it's in degrees. So for this one, we already did it. I got to take 9 divided by 16 first. If you're using the one on Google, you got to hit the inverse sine first. So then I'm going to hit trig, hit my second function, hit inverse sine, and it's 34 degrees. So basically you're going to hit inverse, and 9 divided by 16 gives you 34 degrees. So I go up, and that's angle A, and I got the word the, so I crossed it out someplace right here, and we're good to go. All right, what do they give me here? Opposite hypotenuse again. Same thing. Sine of B now is 5.8 over 7.2. Well, if I want my angle, I don't know what B is. I'm going to do inverse of 5.8 divided by 7.2. So use a calc. Make sure it's in degrees. You should end up getting 54 degrees. So if you're going to use that calculator, you're going to hit, oh, I got to divide it first on here. So clear that out. So 5.8 divided by 7.2. Say on this one, you got to divide it first. On the one on the, again, the one on the Google, you got to hit inverse sine first. And then hit my trig, hit second, hit inverse, 54 degrees. Rounds up to 54. All right. All right. Second one, what do they give me? Opposite and adjacent. So if I look, opposite, adjacent, that's tangent. So I wrote tangent of C is my opposite, 40, over my adjacent, 94. Hit inverse tangent, and 90 divided by, or 40 divided by 94, you should be getting something around 23 degrees. So go through, what do they give you? Well, if I want D, angle D, what do I know? I know adjacent and hypotenuse. So if you go up, what's adjacent and hypotenuse? Cosine. So I wrote cosine of D is my adjacent over my hypotenuse. It's always over hypotenuse. Hit inverse second, hit the second function, cosine, you'll get inverse cosine, and then take 8 divided by 12 and hit equals. You'll have to figure that one out. All right, the only one that's kind of tricky is down here, because they give you two different labels. They got feet and they got miles. So I already did it, multiplied it for you, multiplied by 5280. So I took 1.8 times that. Can you write this down? It's 9,504 feet. So they want angle L. There's my loop. I want angle L. So I'll go across from angle L. There's my opposite. And I go across from my right angle. That's my hypotenuse. So opposite hypotenuse, that's sine function. So I even set it up here. Hit inverse, 1,000 divided by 9,504. Okay, a couple other things you want to put in. This one, here's my 90 degrees on that word problem. And here's your 90 on this one. So go through and write what they give you. Okay, I already started setting it up here. So if I want this, I don't want opposite. There's my hypotenuse. Here's my adjacent right here. So adjacent, hypotenuse. If you look up above, that's cosine. So cosine of M is adjacent, which is 14 over hypotenuse, 18. So M is equal to your inverse, and then take 14 divided by 18, hit equals. All right, you'll figure it out. Just make sure calc is in degrees, okay? And good luck. Get on Zoom, I'll help you, okay? And if you need to, shoot me a text or email or something, I'll help you out, all right?